Welcome to Mental Health and Faith, a closer look. I'm Carolyn Cooper. It is challenging to live with mental and emotional health issues, whether you live with it yourself or love someone who does. I know this from experience on both sides. But I also know that we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. And that's what this podcast is about. I also hope you will join the conversation. Post comments. Share this podcast with others. And let me know if you would like to come on as a guest. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe. And thank you for joining me. Hi, this is Carolyn. Thank you for coming back for another episode of the Mental Health and Faith, a Closer Look podcast. And my guest today is Jessica Kelly J. Kelly, and I'll let her talk a little bit about her unique and beautiful name. So we're going to just have a chat about some of the things she is doing in mental health ministry, some books and resources that she has available. But first, we're really just going to get to know her. So Kelly, why don't you give us a little introduction first of who you are and what you are currently doing, and then I would love to hear you share some of your story with us today.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Caroline, for having me. I'm truly honored and thankful for you. So yes, my name is Kelly J. I am from Dallas, Texas. A little bit about me. Originally, my name was Jessica Kelly, which is why on my book it has Jessica Kelly J. Kelly. And I legally changed my name to Kelly J, taking off the SSICA of my first name, making it J, and I made it to my last name, and I put my last name as my first name. And that just comes from releasing myself from trauma and trying to see better in life. So who Jessica once was transformed into Kelly J.
I love that. I love that.
Thank
I
you.
know someone else who did that, who changed their name after a time of recovery.
Mhm.
So, what is it that you do currently?
So currently, my company name is Focusing and Growth and Holding Together LLC, also known as F.I.G.H.T. Our tagline is mentally strong, physically free. And what we do is we bring awareness, break stigma, and help educate others within the mental health world. We've become a support system for those who may feel unseen, unheard, or need just a little value in life, feel unvalued. And so, me creating Fight came from my own journey with mental health. And from my own journey, I just knew this was a direction that God would have me to go. And I went for it, and I've been loving it ever since.
It's rewarding, isn't it,
Definitely.
to take what you went through and turn it around? That's
Definitely.
fantastic. So, why don't you tell us a little about what it was in life that caused you pain and heartache before you began your recovery time? What was going on?
So my journey started at the age of 5. I lost my best friend. Her sister, and her mom were all murdered. And then shortly after that, I lost my big mama. And then after that, my parents got a divorce. So multiple things of trauma taking place. From there, I was bullied in middle school. Well, I switched schools, so I left all the friends I've ever grown up with. Middle school, I was bullied and talked about. And then, it was just one thing after another, one thing after another, spiraling consistently over time. And, you know, one day I remember coming downstairs after a really bad breakup, and my mom was just like, "You're going to go need to get help." And I was just like looking at her strange because, we've laughed about it for years in regards to my mental. And she was just like, "No, you're going to know, you need to go get help." And
Mm.
so that's really what started the journey for me of going to go get help and realizing I really had a lot of things that had been packed in and that I had been masking. and not really sharing with others. Just kept keeping a smile on my face and being the life of the party. When at home, I was crying, I was sad, I was drowning in my own, traumas. So yeah,
So, when how old were you when your mother said it's time that you need to get some help?
I was in my early 20s.
You were in
I
your,
was
so
in my
you were
early
still young.
Yeah, I was still young. So
Okay.
yeah, I was when I say early 20s, I think I was probably like right at 20
Okay.
when that took place. And so yeah, very, very young. When I was 15, me and my mom did go and get me checked to just kind of see because we knew, hey, she's not normal. One day she's good, the next day she's, down, like what's going on. And we went through a research, like one of the little researches that they have, and the doctor was like, yeah, she's depressed and bipolar. And of course, in our community, we're just taught nothing's wrong with you. Give it to God and you'll be okay. And me and my mom, we looked at each other and we were like, we knew something was wrong. At least we know now. And we didn't like dig any more into it. We just went on about our day and let it be. And so it wasn't until that breakup when my mom was just like, yeah, you're gonna need some extra help right now. And I was just like, okay, fine.
I want to pick up on something you said. You said in your community, it was like just trust God and it'll be okay. Nothing's wrong
Hmm.
with you. And that, unfortunately, is a belief that still exists in some
Hmm.
churches and some places. And so I just want to tell our audience today, if you have heard that, if someone has tried to encourage you to just focus on the Lord and read your Bible and pray, yes, please do those things. But if you have a mental health condition, it requires treatment.
Hmm.
And so I am so excited to hear you say that even with those other voices outside, you and your mother knew that there was something that needed an intervention, right?
Definitely. And I
Yeah.
always tell people, yes, we are taught to go give it to God and, give it to Him, lay all your burdens down to Him. But one key thing that I feel a lot of times we miss is faith without works is dead. And
Yes.
so my faith is I'm gonna take it to you, God, and I'm gonna pray that you do what you have to do to help me. My work is going to a doctor's appointment, going to go seek that treatment, whether it be I get a coach, a therapist, I take the medication. That's the work that I put into the faith of me believing that one day I'll be on the other side. And now look at me, I'm on the other side. So, you know.
Yes. That is the first time I have heard someone use that faith and works to describe what really needs to happen when you have a mental health condition. It's just like if you have cancer, you're going to go to the doctor.
Hmm.
You're going to pray and trust and hope and go to the doctor. And there's nothing
You're
wrong
gonna
with
take the
that.
chemo treatments. You're gonna
Yes.
go through it all, but you're still gonna keep your faith that the cancer is gonna be gone after radiation or after chemo, or if you go
Mhm.
have surgery. That's the prayer that you put in, but you still do the work.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I think that's where in the mental health world people kind of shy away from it. It is a mental thing. It is in our heads, but it's
Mhm.
no different than cancer, diabetes, um, any other illnesses. Is no different. It's just a newly thing that people are now starting to become more aware of.
Were there other things in your life or how you tried to cope with the trauma before you got the help you needed?
So I am 8 years in recovery of suicide and self harm. Praise God.
Yes.
A lot of times I did try things to harm myself through my trauma. So being bullied in school, that was the first time I self-harmed myself. Um, Having people in my life who I thought were friends or someone I could trust, things like that. cause trauma, being at work and overworking myself can cause you trauma. It's a lot of different things in life that can take place. So I did try and end it all. When my godmother passed away, when my grandmother passed away, those were very strong people in my life who I didn't think life was great without them. And a lot of times when I did go to that dark side, I did feel as though everyone was better off without me. I had made up in my mind, everybody will be fine as long as I'm not here. They don't have to go through this with me. And I was wrong. While I was thinking that, they were praying for me. While I was thinking that, they were calling me, asking me, hey, are you okay? you know, it was the small things that I'll forever remember of everyone during my toughest times in life, how they still showed up and supported me through it all.
I love that. So we should really never discount the impact of a hug or a smile
Oh,
or a
never.
quick phone call or a
Yeah,
card.
never.
Uh,
Never.
it's amazing. Just knowing that other people love you and care about you can really be healing to someone
Definitely.
going through that. So you had this trauma, you struggled, uh, you started to get help. At what point did you think I should start a ministry? I should start
So,
I should start a business about this.
honestly, it all started with just me
Okay.
having my support. I didn't even think about others in that moment. I started out with just sharing my story to other people. And I will never forget. One day I was inside of Apple getting my computer worked on, and this lady came up to me. She said, "You're Jessica." At this time, I was still going by Jessica, and she was like, "You're Jessica Kelly. You're Jessica Kelly." And I was like, "Yeah." And what she didn't know was I had at that time I had got diagnosed with psychosis, and so people coming up to me scared me,
Mhm.
and so I was like, "Oh, did she?" Like I was real nervous. And she was like, "No, I read your story online and I just want you to know how much it's helped me. And I just want to thank you for speaking your truth. Thank you so much because it's really helped me." And I was like, I was like, okay, I'm doing something. You kind of just, okay, I'm doing something. And then it became like more of a more thing, whether it was in person or getting messages from people, you know, whatever the case may be, whether they read an article about me, they heard an interview about me, they just knew my story. And after a while, fight was no longer about me fighting. I had a team people called Team Jets. Those were my supporters. And I was like, what if Team Jets became for Team Everybody? What would that look like for those who are struggling? And I became that for other people where they could call me, text me, DM me, and just talk. And I'm listening. And, it from like literally from all of that, from me just sharing my story, really birthed what fight is today. And everything that fight stands for came from me just sharing my story. And when I started sharing it, I didn't go into it to show other people. It was mainly me just getting it out. I had no idea where it was going to come from, what all would transpire. And so now I have people who will just call and say, "Hey, I need to talk. Hey, I just need to vent." And it's like, okay, let's go. So that's pretty much. And it started out in 2012.
Okay.
Um,
12.
and yeah, in 2012, we officially launched, and then, well, we started launching. So Team Just was launched in 2012. By 2013, the official launch of Fight really started the movement of everything. And so, like I said, from there, it just became, how can I help? How can I be of support to you? And then what was it, 2020 ish? I started trying to figure out how to create clothes where I could take my message from just being on the internet or talking to someone, but it could encourage someone else. And so by 2022, 2023, I launched my clothing line, Hope Clothing. And so now people are able to take the message that we are pushing out into the world and wear it on their clothes. And people can see it and be like, wow, that's amazing. Where could I get it from? And it just kept spiraling all the way up until today.
It's amazing that when uh, you trust the Lord with your recovery, he
Hmm.
just drives it. That's how
Definitely.
mine worked too. I started by just talking, and then I started writing, and then, it just grew from there. You started just being you and
Hmm.
sharing what you'd been through to encourage, well, first of all, to keep reminding yourself and encourage yourself, which is important, and then to encourage others. And I would love to have people come to your website and see the different things that you have to offer. I think it
Yes.
also said on there that you are a mental health coach as well.
Yes. I am a mental health coach. I specialize within trauma and suicide as well as grief. So
Wow.
all the above. Um, but yes, I am a mental health coach. Soon to be getting my credentials for military as well. So I'm really excited about that. I have a lot of family who went in the military, whether it was Army, whatever the case may be, and so working with military personnel is really special to me just because of my family members. So I'm
Mm,
excited
that's
about becoming a full on coach across the board, whether it's adults, children, or military personnel. So, yeah.
so congratulations on all of the great stuff you're doing. And I do want to talk a minute about your writing because you're a writer as well, right? You have a
Yes.
book and you have some other things, and you shared with me your newest book, Girl Unknown, which is like a poetry and journal kind of
Hmm.
book. And it was so real and raw and authentic. And I loved the questions you have for kind of journaling, for someone else to journal through some of their own experiences related to the things that you were going through. Um,
Hmm.
how did that come about? How did that book come about? Because it is really honest. It is really honest and real.
It is. Honestly, when I first started writing Girl Unknown, it was going to be a complete memoir of my life. It was a full storyline, and I sent it to a dear friend of mine, and he started asking a whole bunch of questions that I was not ready to answer within my book yet. But I had already been writing. I've been writing since I can remember. Writing has always been my escape. And so one day I was just sitting and I started looking at everything that I had wrote, and I was like, this is literally my book, but in poetry. And it's not rhyming or anything like that. It's just heartfelt, raw and real. And when I was creating the journal, well, my book, um, I thought about the books I used to read from when I was younger, the books that had what is her name? June B, I believe that's the author from way back in the 90s. In her books, she would have it as if she was writing a letter to herself. So you would
Yeah.
have the regular pages with the words, and then you would have this piece of paper that she put inside of the book where she was just writing, scribbling her thoughts. And so when it came to me putting Girl Unknown together, I was like, I want to do that. But I want to take it a step further. I want you to be able to see your own self, your own journey, you within my story. And if so, then hey, at this prompt, at this next page, write how you're feeling. Where was there a time in your life where you felt like this, or how have you handled this? And my hope is always by the time you get to the end of Girl Unknown, you have found within yourself who you are, and you start to realize I need to heal. Writing Girl Unknown let out a lot of the trauma that I had been holding in for so long, to where when I got to the end of it, I was just like, whew, Let's heal. Like literally, let's heal. And after I finished writing it, I actually wrote it. I started rewriting everything, putting it all together while I was pregnant with my daughter. And I wanted the book done by before she was born, but that didn't happen. I actually didn't get to finish the book until January 1st of 2025. And
Okay.
that date is very significant for me because that's the day God called my godmother home. And so I was sitting with my cousins and I had my daughter in my hand and I was typing up the last little bit, which is the last part is Journey to Serenity, which is my daughter's name.
Oh,
And I was sitting there holding her and I was just writing all my thoughts out. And I looked at my cousins and they were getting ready to start the countdown. And I said, I'm not going to hit complete until it's the new year. And
oh,
so we did the countdown. We all, Happy New Year. And my cousin, she came over and she got my daughter and she said, finish this book now. And I said, okay. And I wrote the last line and I said, Happy New Year, godmother. I did it. And I cried for a moment. I grabbed my daughter back and was like holding her crying because it was rewarding in a
mhm.
sense. My godmother, she saw so much potential in me that I didn't even see in myself at the time. And so getting Girl Unknown complete wasn't just a celebration of her life, it was the celebration of a new beginning for me.
Yes. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, so if people want to find you and
Yes.
check out your resources and your clothing line and you have, I think, kind of like an online support group or
Yes.
networks that you have, how can they find you?
So outside of our website, which is www.mentallystrongphysicallyfree.com, I'm also on Facebook under Kelly J. Our page on Facebook is Focusing and Growth and Holding Together. I had to think about it for a second. But we're also on Instagram. We're also on TikTok as well. Consistently just trying to put the message out to what we're doing to others so that they themselves can start their own healing journey and know that it is a light at the end of the tunnel. Right now you may just be in your cocoon part of
Mhm.
life and it's okay. But that doesn't mean you have to be in your cocoon by yourself.
Okay, and um, I don't think we have time to go into your full analogy of the butterfly from the different phases, the egg
Mhm.
and the cocoon and the butterfly. But if people go to your website or,
Yes.
they can find out. So I want them to do that. So I think you also have a special event coming up, and I know you're in the Dallas area, and
Yes.
are you having a mental health conference?
Yes, we are. Our mental health conference is called the You Matter Mental Health Conference. Is actually what's in my background. The You Matter Mental Health Conference happening September 12th at the Mesquite Art Center. We have I'm co-hosted. Well, I'm the host, and my co-host is Shantae Hollins. We have performance from Vontae Reed and 903 Eli. We also have speakers such as Crystal Robinson, Jerry Kelly, which is my father, as
Hmm.
well as Christy Brooks. A lot of C's. A lot of C's. But I'm super excited about this event. I hope people can come and really leave with not just, I want people to leave this conference feeling like they really do matter because
Yes.
that is so important when we talk on suicide. A lot of people didn't feel like they mattered. So for me, it's so important that when you leave this conference, you leave knowing if no one else thinks I matter to myself. I know I can come to Kelly J and I know she knows I matter. Anyone who's going to be there will know that you matter. So it starts to create a support system right then and there in that room that these people are someone who've gone through their own traumas and look at where they are now. This is who they are, and you won't feel like you're alone anymore. You'll feel like, hey, I actually have someone who understands me.
That is really important. That is essential that to get that across that you do matter. I mean,
Yes.
first of all, everyone is created in the image of God,
Yes.
and so they matter to God.
Right. And that's the
And
biggest one that matters.
yeah, so but no, I think that's wonderful that you're putting together a conference. Um, is there anything else, Kelly? Oh, and I'm just going to say, audience, people listening, go check out the show notes. I'm going to have links to your website and all your social media. I'll have Kelly's contact information available. So please check that out. So, Kelly, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience today, or any tips you can give them if they haven't started that journey yet but think they might need to?
My biggest takeaway from my own journey is starting with the little person in you. No
Mm.
matter if you're a woman, no matter if you're a man. And I do have something special coming called Dear Baby Girl and Dear Baby Boy. It is the offset key to start helping you heal from within. It is okay to say, I'm struggling. It is okay to say, I'm not okay. It is okay. My biggest thing, one conversation can always change your life. Never think that your struggles, your diagnosis defines who you are as a person. The only thing that can define that is God, and how you choose to make yourself be from the moment you realize I'm struggling, I'm not okay. That is between you, God, and who all you allow into your life to help you along the process.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, Kelly, I think our time is about up for today.
Okay.
But I have really enjoyed having you and hearing some
Thank
of
you.
your story. I think you have an amazing ministry. So I really hope that God continues to bless you with that and you continue to grow. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this important and encouraging information with those you love. See you next time.